Good afternoon. I'm Frank, and I'm presenting on enhancing Rootzone soil moisture dynamics estimation with a state-based model. So water energy coupling are the primary drivers of soil hydrological state, and accurate estimation of root zone soil moisture help us to understand and be able to manage water resources properly, especially trying to understand the plant water stress. So, and we know that soil serves as a low-pass filter. And as a result, Wagner proposed a model that you are able to estimate root zone soil moisture using only surface soil moisture that you have, let's say 5 centimeter measurement. However, this model assumes a constant relationship between the root zone and the parameters. And because of this constant relationship that was assumed, we are not able to identify a critical hydrological threshold that we need in our water resources management. For example, if you want to understand the field capacity, a wilting point, this cannot give you that information. Therefore, we propose a model that is able to quantify this surface root zone moisture connectivity, and also to see, because the model comes with a 3 parameter, it's a 3-parameter model. So we try to identify which of these either soil or climate variable that influence these 3 parameters. And because there are some areas that we are not able to get the root zone to calibrate the model, we propose to develop hydrotrophic functions that you can easily use to predict these parameters that the model needs. So we implemented the model across 200 stations with a combination of scan data set and then the US CRN data set. So we take 5 different depths, that's the 5 centimeter, 10 centimeter, 20 centimeter, and 50 centimeter depth. And then the root zone soil moisture was taken as a weighted average of these 5 depths to use for calibrating our model. So our proposed state-based model. So yes, it is in the form of the already existing Wagner model that he proposed for smoothing, using to estimate the root zone soil moisture dynamics from the surface. But we add, as I explained, we add a different layer to it, where we are now able to directly identify that 2 of these parameters are soil control, and then 1 of the parameters is a climate control. And also you see from the figure, so the relationship between the pseudo diffusivity and then the root zone moisture dynamic that we estimated is what we now term it pseudo diffusivity characteristics curve. So in this pseudo diffusivity characteristics curve, you are able to, 1, identify some critical hydrological thresholds that were initially lacking in the existing model that we have. And so this gives us a direct linkage that we can easily identify these critical thresholds that are very important for our plant water management. So here, these are sample of the model results that we saw. So the first plot is from North Carolina. So that is that is humid condition. So you can see that the model performed absolutely well with a correlation of 0.95. And then in the second figure, that is from Texas, that the model performed low as compared to the humid conditions. And this can be explained in the sense that in dry conditions, the surface root zone connectivity along the line makes the the transmission of information from the surface to the root zone, or from the root zone to the surface, because of this disconnection that happens and the field become dry. But in all, you see that it's able to perform in different climatic zones, like say the humid and then the arid conditions. And so this is the goodness of it for the overall data set that we implemented the model on, and this is a normalized values. So we had a median correlation of 0.8, and then the root mean square of 0.051, showing that the model is performing well in across all the stations. And so because we are already, I have the assumption that we want to identify which soil parameters or climate variables control this parameter that we have. So we try to find the relationship that exists. So you see that the two of our parameters, that's theta S, theta R, that's we give it. So we have against clay, sand content, you see that we have a negative correlation. And this is, I mean, this batteries a classical soil physics, where you have, as the sand content increases in terms of percentage increases, then the water retention also decreases. So you can clearly see that, yes, the model, these two parameters are directly linked to soil texture, that is sand content. And also look at, if you look at the clay content, you can also see that there's a positive correlation. So where you have, as the clay content increases, then you also have the model, the two parameters also increasing. But we also try to find out whether the other parameter that was left. So we try to find the correlation between the DI and then the aridity index. And we also find out that as the aridity index increases, then the DI also increases. So it had a positive correlation. Therefore, with this in mind, then we now move to our third objectives, where because we have that, we see that there's environmental relationship that exists between our three parameters that we, three parameter model and soil texture and climate variable. So we develop pedotopher functions, and pedotopher function is using the available data to predict what you don't have. And so when we use a simple linear model to develop these pedotopher functions, and this will be able to fill gaps where we don't have a root zone soil moisture to calibrate the model. So after we developed the pedotopher functions, so we have the predictors where they tested the observed parameters. Then for observed theta S, then we have correlation of 0.76, and the observed theta R, we have correlation of 0.57, meaning that although it's not performing, extremely well, but still, in case where you are lacking data in a particular area, you can still rely on these pedotopher functions to predict the parameters. So when we predicted the parameters, we try to use this predicted parameters to implement in the model to see whether we are able to estimate the root zone soil moisture dynamics that we want. Then we say that averagely, or the median correlation or 0.75, as compared to, the model itself of a correlation of 0.8. So we say that although the model itself has higher correlation as compared to the predictor parameter that we used in the implementation of the model, but still you can rely on it for areas where you lack data to implement the model. So in conclusion, what have we enhanced? So one, we are able to establish that the constant assumption that the initial proposed models assume is not the case. And here we are able to add another layer that you are able to easily or directly identify some critical threshold that were lacking from the initial model. And therefore, this will help us to be able to estimate in terms of water stress, you'll be able to plan properly using this model. And then you also can apply it globally, since you don't really need to rely on Rootzone soil moisture if you don't have using the phytotropic functions to estimate the parameters and implement the model. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. So when you talk about soil moisture, is it specific for a crop or it's just cluster?
For us, we just take 100 centimeter depth. So that we are not targeting a specific crop. So that is the assumption that we use in implementing the model.
We're more on track. We'll have time later for questions with the panel discussion. So thank you for